Yeah, it's it's similar. The two leagues are similar. There's a difference, obviously, in the personalities of the people in the GLVC office, and I'm not saying necessarily that's better or worse. It's just different, so you've got to get used to that. The commissioner, that we worked with in the Northern Sun was terrific. We were friends, and she supported Upper Iowa, but the new commissioner, I think, is a little bit more engaged. I had a question this morning, and I emailed him, and I got an answer back in about 10 seconds, which is wonderful and unusual. So he's really involved, and I think that's been good. The leagues are a little different, but I think for the most part, what we feel very strongly is that we're in the right place. We're in the right league, for Upper Iowa at this time, and the effort that it took from a bunch of people to try to get that done has proven to be the right one. So, administratively very similar. The meetings that we do are similar. The agendas are about the same. So there's not much difference from that standpoint. But I'd say the personalities of the people is what you have to get used to, because we had a great relationship with the folks in the Northern Sun, and we'd like to have that in the GLVC as well. If to be transparent and to be honest, I'm disappointed. I thought we would do better. Both of our soccer teams, our men were competitive, our women really struggled, but they're very young, so we're hopeful that gets fixed. Volleyball has been perennially really good in the Northern Sun, usually a tournament team in what was the toughest volleyball league in the country. So we thought going to the GLVC we'd have a little more success. We made the tournament. We were in the 8th spot, so we ended up playing the undefeated #1 seed, and we lost in 3. So that wasn't so disappointing, but we felt like we should be the 4th or 5th seed in that tournament, and we really just didn't play to that level. And then, football was close, and I think we're all really positive about where the football program is headed. With the kind of quality guys and not many guys leaving us, only a couple, and a good returning group. So I think from that standpoint, very positive. Women's cross country, did better than they had done in the Northern Sun. Beat a couple schools in the championships. So, I think all in all, I would say, slightly disappointed, but optimistic, about what happened and where all those programs are headed. And we're doing right now the kind of end of season evaluation and meeting with all those coaches and talking about all the things we need to talk about in order to get those programs better. Yeah, well, I'll start at the end. One of the emphasis in the GLVC is that the coaches are really involved in the decision-making for their sport, more so than in the Northern Sun, I think. So regular meetings, Zoom meetings, obviously, to save everybody the pain of traveling and the expense. But so that, I think, is important, and I think that's good. I always felt in the Northern Sun that they relied too much on the administrators to make all the decisions, and in this league, GLVC, the coaches are much more involved. So I think that's good. The GLVC Sports Network is something that they had in the works all the way through the last few years, and we were able to jump into it. And I think we probably do it better than virtually anybody in the league. So that's a positive. And we received a check for $6,000 or so for the fall. The first part of the fall, for people that have subscribed and watched games or events, and we'll get that check again 3 or 4 more times, so that's nice. Lets us do some things that we wouldn't normally be able to do. So, and there has been nothing but positives about the GLVC Sports Network. So, I think, it's obvious, but in this day and age, if you want to watch the Peacocks play and you don't want to drive to St. Louis or Kansas City, then being on the GLVC Sports Network is a positive thing financially, and for the most part you get to see the games in a pretty good kind of look. And then I think the other thing that is important right now is mental health, and obviously that's important to everybody, whether you're an athlete or an adult or a parent or whatever it might be. So, but there's a big emphasis in the GLVC to try to pay careful attention to the mental health of student athletes, and we're doing our best with Emily Jorgensen kind of leading that charge, and several bits of programming and training for our coaches that's coming up. So, a good initiative, the right thing to do. The world has changed since COVID and all the other things, and the mental health and physical health and happiness of these student athletes is really important, and we've made it an emphasis this fall. I think we're all very optimistic about the men's basketball team. They returned 4 or 5 starters. They've got a couple of new guys, and we think they'll be competitive right at the very top of the GLVC. We'll see. It won't be easy. We know that, but in our preseason games here, we're 3-3 against the hardest schedule anybody's played in the country. We've got a great leader in Jake Hilmer and Nick Reed, and Caleb Dalzell, and some Owen King. So we think we've got a chance there to be right at the top of the GLVC. I think we're a regional team in the NCAA tournament, barring injury or any other catastrophe. So, we're hopeful there. Women's basketball is much better than they've been. They've gotten off to a tough start here in the league, but I think they'll get that fixed. We would hope that they can be a tournament team in that league, play at 500 or so, and I think everybody would be pretty happy with that. The wrestling guys are rated number 5 in the country. I was expecting them to be, frankly, 8 or 9, so 5 is great. That's, kind of calculated on returning points and all of that. So we'll see what happens. But they're loaded with talent, and we're excited about that. Heath always does a great job. The national duels are in Cedar Falls, so that's a exciting thing for us. So all 3 of those programs in good hands with Brooks and Justin and Heath. So, and then obviously the women's wrestling is just getting started, but we do have 3 or 4 young women that are involved there and going to open meets, and we'll hope to do some exhibition stuff before men's dual meets in Dorman this winter. So, we think the winter ought to be really good for us. The indoor track for our women should be better. Our distance runners are improving, and then we've got a couple of throwers and some young ladies that we think can score in that indoor meet. So, the winter should be a positive one here in Fayette. Well, I think after we've seen the fall and after we see the rest of this year, we'll have a better idea about how that looks. But from my standpoint, I don't see any reason why we can't compete in the top half of that league. It's not easy, and I don't want to make it sound like it's easier than the Northern Sun was, but I don't think necessarily the depth of the league is as good. It's not quite the gauntlet that the Northern Sun was, if volleyball and football and the soccers are any indication, and I think they are. So, I think in answer to your question, where I would like to see the Peacocks is in the top half of the league. You know, there's going to be 15 or 16 teams in that league. Not everybody plays every sport, but you would think, you know, we could be third or fourth, you know, in just about everything, and then, you know, make our run at a championship, you know, when it's our time. And you know, that's always dependent upon health and upperclassmen leadership and the ball bouncing the right way and the, you know, calls going your way. But I think the top half of the league is reasonable. I don't see any reason why it isn't, and I think we do have you know, some definite advantages over some of the other schools in the league. We've got the best athletic training. We feel like our strength and conditioning is at the top level. You know, we do some other things pretty well. So I think top half is a reasonable expectation.